Imagine it's the first of the month in 2026. You wake up, grab your phone, and before you even brush your teeth, you check your bank app. The rent cleared at midnight. Just like that, a massive chunk of your income disappears in a silent digital transaction. No envelope of cash, no dramatic moment, just numbers shifting on a screen. You tell yourself it's normal. Everyone pays rent. This is adulthood. But as you stare at the remaining balance, there's a subtle feeling you can't quite name. It's not panic, it's not even anger. It's something quieter. It feels like running on a treadmill that's set just fast enough to keep you from stepping off. That's the reality many renters live in during 2026, and it doesn't feel accidental. It feels engineered. At first glance, renting seems flexible. You're not tied to a mortgage, you can move cities, you're not responsible for the roof or the plumbing. But over time, flexibility starts to feel like fragility. Leases renew at higher rates, market adjustments become annual rituals, buildings change ownership, and suddenly new policies appear. Fees stack up in ways that didn't exist 5 years ago. Pet fees, parking fees, convenience fees for paying online. None of them individually catastrophic, but together they reshape your monthly breathing room. The deeper issue isn't just rising rent, it's the predictability of the increase. You can almost plan for it. 3 to 7%, sometimes more depending on the city. Meanwhile, your salary adjustments feel uncertain, performance-based, political. Housing costs rise with mechanical confidence. Income rises with negotiation and luck. Over time, the gap becomes structural, and structure is what makes something feel like a trap. Zoom out and you see a system that benefits from this design. Large institutional investors own growing shares of rental housing. Algorithms analyze neighborhood demand and optimize pricing. Vacancy is calculated, not feared. If one tenant leaves, another is waiting. In high-demand markets, renters compete against each other the same way buyers once did. But renters aren't competing for ownership, they're competing for temporary stability. That's a different psychological weight. And here's where it gets philosophical. Renting used to be a stage of life, a bridge between college and real adulthood. In 2026, for many people, it's indefinite. But culturally, the narrative hasn't caught up, so renters live in a strange emotional contradiction. Financially, they may be responsible, earning decent incomes, even investing. But socially, they can feel like they're paused, like life hasn't fully begun. That subtle sense of delay creates pressure to stretch into buying, pressure to keep climbing income ladders that may not align with their values. The financial impact compounds quietly. When a large portion of income goes to rent, saving for a down payment becomes slower. As saving slows, home prices may continue rising. The goalpost moves. The longer you rent, the harder buying can feel. Not always, not everywhere, but often enough to create a narrative that ownership is drifting further away. So renters aren't just paying for shelter, they're paying with time. Time is the most expensive variable in finance. The years spent allocating significant income to rent are years that could have compounded elsewhere. But that statement oversimplifies reality. Renting isn't inherently bad. In some markets, it's rational. It can provide mobility and reduce risk. The trap isn't rent itself. It's when rent consumes so much income that it limits optionality. Optionality is the real currency of wealth. Think about how behavior changes under constraint. When half your income goes to housing, career risks feel heavier. Starting a business feels reckless. Taking a lower paying but meaningful job feels irresponsible. Even moving to a new city for opportunity requires recalculating deposits, fees, higher rents. The system subtly encourages stability over experimentation. It nudges you toward predictable employment and away from volatility. That's not a conspiracy, it's incentives, and incentives shape behavior more powerfully than rules. There's also the emotional architecture of renting. You decorate, but not too much. You care for the space, but you know it isn't yours. Improvements feel temporary. Every year brings a renewal notice that reminds you the arrangement is conditional. That condition seeps into your sense of permanence. It's difficult to feel fully grounded when your housing stability depends on a contract that resets annually. But here's the powerful shift in perspective. The feeling of being trapped isn't solely about renting, it's about misalignment between cost and growth. When housing costs rise faster than your ability to build assets, you feel stuck regardless of whether you rent or own. Some homeowners feel equally trapped by mortgages that dominate their income. The common thread isn't the lease, it's the lack of margin. Margin is what transforms rent from prison to platform. If rent allows you to save aggressively, invest consistently, and maintain mobility, it's strategic. If rent absorbs nearly everything, leaving little room to build, it becomes restrictive. The design of the system may favor asset owners, but individual strategy still matters. Renters who treat their situation as a temporary purgatory often feel powerless. Renters who treat it as a calculated phase can reclaim control. The deeper realization is this: financial freedom isn't defined by owning walls, it's defined by owning your trajectory. If your housing situation, renting or owning, limits your ability to grow net worth, pivot careers, or sleep peacefully at night, that's the real trap. In 2026, many renters feel trapped by design because the economic structure concentrates benefits at the ownership level. But awareness changes posture. Once you see the system clearly, you stop internalizing it as personal failure. You stop equating rent with stagnation. You begin focusing on what you can control: income growth, skill leverage, investing outside of property, geographic arbitrage if possible. You stop chasing ownership purely for emotional validation and start analyzing it as a financial decision among many. And that's the perspective shift. The trap isn't renting. The trap is believing that your worth and progress are determined by your housing label. When you detach identity from property and reconnect it to strategy, the design loses some of its power over you. In a system that may favor landlords and asset holders, the real rebellion is building optionality anyway. Not through fantasy, not through panic buying, but through disciplined positioning. In 2026, renters aren't doomed, but they do have to be intentional, because the system may be designed to extract, yet awareness is designed to adapt.